Welcome to this episode of BUIDL101 with TRON DAO. My name is Feroz Lakhani, Enterprise Lead here at TRON. We also have Ejaz Merchant, the Developer Relationship Manager. Today we're here with the Cookbook.dev team. So we've got Michael and Rich from Cookbook.dev. Welcome, gentlemen. We're going to talk a little bit about the platform and how we can use Cookbook to ship fast and easily on BitTorrent chain. So Michael, if you want to kick it off and introduce yourself and the platform.
Sure thing, Feroz, Ejaz, thanks for having me on. My name is Michael Dankinich. I'm the head of business development over at Cookbook.dev. Cookbook.dev, we focus on developer tooling, education around Solidity, and making it easy for developers to start building across different networks like BitTorrent chain. We have a smart contract library and registry of around 1,000 contracts that developers can access on Cookbook, fork, and begin building with as they learn about those contracts.
Awesome. Great to hear. Yeah, Rich, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Rich. I'm the head of developer marketing here at Cookbook. Michael did a great job explaining what Cookbook is, so I think we could just move on.
All right, sounds great. Ejaz, you want to do a quick intro and then we can talk a little bit about BitTorrent chain and our upcoming hackathon. Also, I'll throw it to you for that.
Awesome. Yes. So my name is Ejaz Merchant. I'm the developer relationship lead here at Tron. I help run the hackathon. I wear a lot of different hats with the company, but my favorite thing to do is working with developers and engaging with them and creating content for them to kind of keep building and growing and, getting from a project from a small version of it to a full-size company one day. So that's my goal. A little bit about BitTorrent Chain. BitTorrent Chain is a project that is part of the Tron ecosystem. It I think went live in 2021, and so BitTorrent Chain, BTTC for short, is kind of like a super connector in the blockchain world. It makes different blockchain networks easy to talk to, including big names like Tron, Ethereum, and Binance Smart Chain. So that opens up a ton of possibilities. Despite only just making the connections, it doesn't skip on security or decentralization. So we're here today with Cookbook to figure out how to make BitTorrent chain work with a small and easy to do smart contract experience.
All righty. Thank you for that intro to BitTorrent, Ejaz. So a real quick intro on our hackathon. So we're actually about to kick off season 6 of the hackathon. We have $500,000 in cryptocurrency to give away to winners of the hackathon. And Ejaz, can you actually break down a little bit of if you can tell us about the tracks as well as some of the non-cash prizes for the hackathon this year?
Yeah, I'd love to. So as you mentioned earlier, it's about 500,000 in crypto, but there are also non-cash prizes, and that includes some cloud credit from our sponsors, and then 150K in energy allocated to the winning projects post hackathon. And if you don't know what energy is kind of Tron's version of gas, and it allows transactions to happen. And energy can be rented or provided to create almost free transactions depending on how much energy you have. So for some projects, energy could be a huge proponent on boosting their project and getting more users. So for our hackathon itself, submissions start on February 20th and they go until May 7th. And the judging and voting will take place about May 22nd from May 29th from our external judges and partners. Then we'll have our new demo week that starts on June 17th through June 22nd. And lastly, our goal is to have all projects on mainnet by June 28th. The final winners will be announced. And the tracks those projects can build for are for DeFi, Web3, Artistry, which is a mix of NFT and GameFi essentially, and Builder Track. The Builder Track is for projects who have submitted in previous hackathons and want to keep building and enhancing their project, and those will all be judged in that particular track. And the new track we have is the new integration track. This essentially is any project needs to integrate an existing protocol or a dApp or service already on Tron to their existing project, kind of upgrading it or modding it up to be more Tron specific. And BitTorrent chain also is included in this. So those are our tracks, our dates, and we hope to have all the projects and all the builders come in and learn through the ecosystem.
Alrighty, awesome. Thank you for that breakdown, Ejaz. I know this is season 6 of our hackathon, and every season we have more and more submissions. We tend to get a lot more projects on BitTorrent, especially over the past, I believe, 2 seasons. We've seen a dramatic increase in the amount of projects that are building on BitTorrent, which is our layer 2 scaling solution. One of the benefits, I know you mentioned the energy allocation. So about $150,000 worth of energy will be allocated to projects that are running on Tron, winning projects that are running on Tron. And in this case, we do have BitTorrent chain is full EVM compatible. So for a lot of builders that are coming in from other ecosystems that have experience in other traditional EVM chains, BitTorrent may be a little bit easier for you to get introduced to and start building on. So that's what we want to focus on today, and that's why we've got Michael and Rich here to walk us through the process of using some smart contracts within the Cookbook database, and showing up how the integrations within Cookbook make it even easier. Back in the day, you had to copy paste smart contracts or write them fresh, right? Now we've got so many different protocols and projects that have been building and have secured their projects very well using, tested, audited smart contracts. And so Cookbooks makes it really easy to go and find those smart contracts with the exact functionality that you want that have been tested and used in real life. So I'm going to kick it over to Michael if you want to take us through an introduction to Cookbook, and show us how we can start deploying on BitTorrent chain quick, man.
Totally, thanks, Feroz. And I'll kind of get started by just jumping into demoing a token deploy to BitTorrent chain. So I'll walk the audience through the BitTorrent chain developer resources page that we have on Cookbook. That'll help them configure their wallet and get testnet tokens, and then actually go directly into deploying an ERC20 token. So your kind of traditional cryptocurrency token onto BitTorrent chain. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so you guys should be able to see my screen here at this point.
Yes, you're good to go.
Awesome. So this is our BitTorrent chain developer resources page. If you go to cookbook.dev/chains/BitTorrent, you'll reach this page. You can also go to cookbook.dev and search for BitTorrent chain in our search bar to get over here. But this kind of contains all of the resources and links that a builder needs to start building on BitTorrent chain. So everything from official links to BitTorrent chain, official website documentation and community pages, to testnet and mainnet block explorers to check out your contracts after you've deployed them and look at transactions, to links to bridges and bounties so that you can go and get some mainnet tokens, and then everything from one-click add to wallet. So we can just click add to wallet and we'll be able to get BitTorrent chain testnet added to our MetaMask. I've already got it configured there, so I'll just hit cancel. But you can first either add mainnet or testnet to your wallet in one click. Then you can jump into the faucet over here. And I've already got some testnet tokens, but you just copy and paste your address over into the faucet and select obtain. I adjusted this, so I got that error, but that's what you would do. And now you're essentially ready to start building with Cookbook, right? So you've added BitTorrent chain to your wallet. You've got some testnet tokens. So the very next thing we're going to do is go and find the smart contract that we're going to deploy. So if we go back to the Cookbook landing page, we have some of our popular smart contracts here on the page. So we'll just do a simple ERC20 token. What you can do prior to deploying this contract is go to this expand tab over here and select Chef GPT, and you can ask questions in plain text or highlight code snippets of your smart contract to learn about it. So, in this case, we can highlight constructor, select analyze snippet, and now we're going to get a real-time analysis on this portion of our smart contract, so we can learn a little bit about it before we go and deploy it. But let's get into getting this ERC20 token on chain on BitTorrent chain's testnet. So for this instance, we're going to open it in Remix. So Remix is like a web IDE that's very popular for developers building with Solidity. We'll just select accept here. And what this has done has it's pulled in our smart contract code into our IDE directly from Cookbook. So we'll go ahead and compile our simple token here. And we see it's compiled successfully. In order to deploy this to BitTorrent chain's testnet, we'll go into our environment tab under deploy and run transactions in the IDE, and we'll select injected provider MetaMask. So what this does is puts this on our BitTorrent chain network. You can see the chain ID at 1029 here, and you can verify the network details on the BitTorrent chain technical documentation. So we see BitTorrent chain testnet here, and we can see the network details here, and you can check to make sure that matches what you're seeing on Cookbook and in Remix. So now all we have to do is set our constructor over here. So we're going to name our token test. We'll put our symbol down to be test, and then we'll just do a whole bunch of zeros here for our token supply. And select transact. That'll deploy our contract. So we see that there's a tiny fee. We'll hit confirm. And just like that, our first simple ERC20 contract is deploying. So we can interact with our contract here in the Remix IDE. You can call these different functions and methods, or you can go into the block explorer. So we can go into MetaMask. We can select view on block explorer, and we'll see in the BitTorrent chain block explorer that we have deployed our contract successfully here. So, in just a few easy steps, we went from finding our token on the Cookbook landing page. After we added BitTorrent chain to our wallet, grab some testnet tokens, and then all we do is open in Remix, click a few buttons, and you've got your first simple ERC20 token on BitTorrent chain. So that's kind of the quickest way to get some of our contracts up on Cookbook onto BitTorrent chain. If you go into the contracts tab on Cookbook, you can see that we have a wide library of currently almost 1,000 smart contracts that are battle tested and kind of used out there in the wild that we've curated and made available to you on Cookbook. So you can go into these keyword filters. If you're looking for a token contract, you can select token. And find dozens of different smart contracts for tokens, and the same goes for NFTs, DAOs, and a number of other mechanisms for these contracts and tokens. If there is a smart contract that you want to work with that isn't currently curated on Cookbook, what you can do is go into import contracts, and as long as you drop a smart contract address of a verified smart contract from a block explorer, you're going to be able to import that contract into Cookbook. Only you're going to be able to see it, but you'll be able to access all of the features that we have available for our curated contracts, including our AI Solidity Copilot and the ability to open that contract in Remix in one click. So if you're wanting to fork something onto BitTorrent chain, all you do is grab the contract address, drop it into this tab over here, and then you'll be able to follow those same steps that I showed you for the simple ERC20 token for any contract that you would like to work with. So what I will point out as well is if you go into the Remix IDE, we have a Cookbook plugin on the front page. So we're one of the featured plugins with Remix. If you just click this button, it'll add the Cookbook plugin to the sidebar of your Remix IDE. From here, you're going to be able to search our entire library of smart contracts and protocols. So anything that you want to prototype with or start building with to put on BitTorrent chain, you can do directly within the IDE. So, for instance, if we want to fork Uniswap, we simply click on Uniswap over here, and it pulls in the code that we would need to start working with it. So we have our V3 factory contract. You can go in, compile that, and set the environment just the same way as we did for the simple ERC20 token, configuring it to BitTorrent chain, and you are ready to deploy any smart contract onto BitTorrent chain. So that's a quick recap. You can go into the cookbook library here. You can search for the smart contract you want to work with our keyword filters, or you can import your own. Once you find a contract that you would like to work with, you can learn about it in the expand tab by asking questions in plain text or highlighting code snippets and analyzing them. Once you're satisfied with learning about the contract, you can go ahead and one-click open it in Remix, and then just configure your environment for BitTorrent chain in order to deploy it there. And I will point out that we do have Foundry and Hard Hat boilerplates available for all of our smart contracts. So if you would like to build in these environments, you can just download these, unzip them, open them up in your preferred IDE, and all of our files and boilerplates contain READMEs that will walk you through step by step the commands that you have to run from your terminal to install the packages and dependencies. That's one command, and then compile and deploy the contract. So that's all in the READMEs there. And we also integrate with the rest of the IDEs that you see over here. So if you are a Chain IDE, Atlas, VS Code user, you can also one-click open our entire smart contract library or any smart contracts that you import yourself into your preferred IDE. So that's really a rundown. If you want to learn more about some of the smart contracts that we have, you can always jump into our Discord by clicking this link up here or going to discord.gg/cookbook. Our engineering team is always happy to answer questions about smart contract Solidity. If you're looking for a contract that serves a specific purpose, feel free to jump in there and just connect with one of us, and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction. But that's really what I wanted to share with you guys today. So thanks for following along.
Dude, that was a great rundown. And honestly, like as I thought of questions, I didn't want to cut you off, but before I got a chance to even fully think the question out, you had reviewed exactly how to do that. So, just in my experience, learning how to build with Solidity smart contracts went from going and finding some smart contracts, maybe some workshops or tutorials, and then going to GitHubs, seeing other open source contracts. And it was honestly more difficult than I expected it to be. And once I started learning, it also started to feel easier and easier. And then, ChatGPT comes out and there's a little bit more help. You can copy paste some snippets or some errors and maybe ask it some questions, but it wasn't really built to do that. Even though it had that functionality, it wasn't really made for that. So I really love how you really built the integration directly into the site. The highlighting code and expanding and having a conversation with Chef GPT to really answer your questions, specifically trained around Solidity and smart contracts, I think is probably going to be one of my favorite features. And so I did want to ask, you said if I wanted to find some smart contracts that aren't available, I mean, you already have almost 1,000 verified smart contracts available. So I think it'd be tough for me to find something that you don't have a version of already. But you said if I do have another protocol with a verified smart contract, you can copy paste, you said the Etherscan URL into Cookbook, and it will basically analyze that entire smart contract for you and let you deploy that smart contract as well. Or can you show me like an example of that process? Because I think that's one of the really cool features as well that I haven't seen anywhere else yet.
Totally. So I'll demo this with, let's do Friend Tech. I know that's been a popular
Yeah.
protocol. So we can dive into just the block explorer for base, which is base scan. So we'll go into, let's see. Yeah, this looks like the correct contract. So this is the Frontex shares V1. So we'll just go to the contract address over here and select copy address to
But
clipboard.
before you move forward, do you mind just telling us how you look at this contract to see if it's safe or not before adding it into the space that you're about to do?
Yeah, so what I'm kind of checking for in this particular instance is just the balance of Ether. So it looks like there's
Quite a bit.
like 13,000 something Ether, which is worth around $30 million. So this leads me to believe that this is like the correct Frentech contract, because it would be hard for like an attacker or somebody doing something malicious to to put $30 million into it. But a big disclaimer before you deploy anything that's Solidity based on chain, would strongly recommend to follow the strictest security practices, get an audit done if you're doing things in production. Even if you find a contract that's already audited on Cookbook, still follow all best practices for Solidity programming. But in this case, I'm really relying on this Ether value and sort of the amount of transactions. It looks like there's just a whole lot of transactions on here. So this leads me to believe that it's the correct Frontex shares V1 in this instance. So definitely do your due diligence when you're forking protocols from block explorers. Another thing that you can do is if you were to go into the Frontech documentation, they would have a list of their like verified smart contracts available there, and most protocols do. So that might be the best place to start if you want to actually source like a contract to fork, is go into whatever protocols docs, grab the contract addresses from there, kind of cross-check it on the block explorer to make sure that you're working with the correct protocol, and then import that into Cookbook and fork it onto BitTorrent chain that way. So
Gotcha.
that's
Thank
a great point.
No, I
Yep.
appreciate that. That's helpful for us developers learn to figure out what's secure and what's not. So that's helpful. Thank you.
Yep, for sure. Great question. So all we'll do is go, that now that we've determined that this is definitely the contract that we want to work with, we'll just copy the contract address, go back into the Cookbook search, and we can just drop that into the search bar and say import from address. So we'll give that a second. Sometimes here we can also do it like this, import contracts. And then we'll select import. So we go to contracts, import contract from categories. And my internet's been a little iffy, so we'll just give it a second here to import into Cookbook from the block explorer.
While we're waiting for this, I just wanted to mention, so you're using base scan. So obviously you'd be able to use Etherscan, base scan. I know for us, we have BTTC scan, which is built by the same team as Etherscan. So if there's any currently running protocol on BitTorrent chain with verified smart contracts, we should be able to do the same thing with our own block explorer as well, right?
Yep, absolutely. So anything that's verified over there, you'll be able to just grab that contract address, and because it's an EVM chain, it'll work here in import. Okay. So I'm going to do this just one more time. What I did was a hard refresh just because I think I've been on this page so much. But you'll drop the contract address over here, select import, and it'll show up like this. It'll say import Frontex shares V1 from base, but it'll have whatever contract name that you're importing over here, and where it's coming from. So we'll select import. You'll get a little icon here. And we'll get a success message saying contract imported. So this is, an example of importing a deployed contract. You can go back into expand. We can ask, how does this contract work? And now our AI Solidity Copilot will give you a rundown on how the Frontex shares V1 contract works, so that you can kind of learn about it and understand the different functions and everything prior to deploying it yourself. But then if you want to go fork this onto BitTorrent chain, it's the same exact process as we demonstrated with the simple ERC20 token. You can simply hit open in Remix. Now you've got this quick pop-up. We'll say accept, and then that pulls in Frontex shares v1 into the Remix IDE. You go and you compile your contract. We'll switch our environment to injected provider MetaMask so that we're deploying to the BitTorrent chain testnet. We'll make sure that our Frontex shares v1 contract is selected here under contract. And then we will hit deploy here, pay our testnet fee. And just like that, we took a contract from a block explorer and forked it in literally just a couple clicks. So this is a very, very powerful tool for developers who want to launch new protocols that maybe exist on other networks and bring them to BitTorrent chain. So really, a great way to just fork things and get them up on BitTorrent chain quickly. And, you can kind of have that confidence that the code that you're accessing, at least has been used before, if you're bringing it in from a block explorer.
Dude, that is awesome. Very, very easy. And, like you said, you have to do your own due diligence. But making things easier is a big win in my book. And that was probably the easiest way I've ever seen to fork a verified contract, be able to make some edits yourself, compile and deploy. Like it's, literally it's 3 steps, right? Like import, compile, deploy. But I think in terms of deploying something for yourself, this can speed up the process by, almost 50%, right? If you look at it, you still have to build the front end, the UI where you're going to interact with the smart contract, but really building the smart contract securely with all the features you need takes a lot of time, effort, engineering, resources. And so this significantly takes that time down. And yeah, again, that's a big one in my book, especially if you're building something for hackathons, something that's you have less of a time to really iterate as much. You can always go back to it and you can always fix things. You can update them, upgrade them, make them a little bit better and a little bit faster. But in terms of shipping quickly, this is an awesome tool and an awesome resource. And I want to give you guys a shout out. You guys have been great in terms of supporting our developer community by adding these resources. Even the couple of times that I've had the honor to meet the cookbook team, you guys are always very open and very happy to help and partner however you can and help the developer community, no matter what chain they're building on. And I have a lot of respect for that. That's what this space is about. And so I just want to give you guys a shout out for what you guys do. I really appreciate it. And thank you for hopping on and giving us a quick walkthrough of some very, very cool and useful resources. I feel like you walked through it so quickly. And when people actually start getting deep into the Cookbook.dev website, checking all the different smart contracts, asking questions, you really get lost in there. There's just so much for you to be able to learn and so many contracts for you to be able to mess with. I feel like a kid in a candy store. I've spent literally hours just forking some of these contracts and messing with them, trying to deploy them, seeing if I can put together a quick front end and interact with it. And I hope other people in our ecosystem have the same fun with it and really start to experiment with it.
Yeah, thanks so much for saying that, and thanks for having us on. One quick note I'll leave some of the viewers with is for this upcoming hackathon, if you are looking to build something on BitTorrent chain, I definitely encourage you to check out this page. You can even access builder resources here. So we got a couple tutorials up. You can get everything configured. This is like the fastest way to do it. Find some contracts on Cookbook and bring them on a BitTorrent chain for the hackathon and win some prizes there.
I do have one last question. I'd love to give the viewers of this video one last piece of value from you guys, since it's absolutely incredible, but just one more. Say someone's a new developer and they're working on BitTorrent chain, and how can they utilize the Cookbook's AI Solidity Copilot to kind of help them grow from a beginner to a mid junior developer or a mid developer? How can they use that tool to help them grow a bit? If you have some insight on that, that'd be great.
Totally. I think that the way I would recommend like new builders on BitTorrent chain use our Solidity Copilot would be go into the Remix IDE. Follow the steps that I had mentioned on this BitTorrent chains page, which is adding the testnet and mainnet to your wallet, getting some testnet tokens from the faucet. Go over and bridge some mainnet tokens over so you have some, and then go into Remix. Make sure your environment is set to BitTorrent chain. And then check out our plugin. So you can access a whole bunch of different contracts that have, slight differences. If it's a token contract, maybe, the difference between one contract is another and another is that there's like a tax or some other kind of tokenomics mechanism on it. You can, pull these into the IDE really quickly. You can click on this Copilot tab in Remix, and then just ask how does this contract work, right? Just get started asking questions, and kind of seeing the differences between different contracts, right? So you can check out like a simple token contract, ask a few questions, learn the different parts of the contract, like learn, what these different variables mean if you're not comfortable with Solidity syntax yet, and really just you know ask as many questions as you can. The co-pilot's going to be patient. You can take all the time that you need in between questions to test things out and learn. And then really just go through like a variety of different contracts, right? Start with a simple token and then go over, back into the search and then do a token with like a buy and sell fee, right? A dividend paying token with a buy and sell fee. And just kind of see the differences in what the smart contract is using, and then ask questions about that to the co-pilot, and then really just go through, a couple different styles of contracts, move on to an NFT contract, see how a DEX works, see how a DAO governance contract works. And if you spend a little bit of, excuse me, we spend a little bit of time going through different examples of contracts and getting all your questions answered, you should get pretty good at sort of noticing the differences in the actual Solidity code. And then, that'll really set you up to start building like on top of these contracts on your own really well.
I think it's a phenomenal answer. I think the ability to fine comb through a contract with AI is going to be huge for developers who want to become a 10x to 100x. So thank you for that answer. I appreciate that so much.
Totally. Great question.
Dude, I think unless you guys have anything else to share, I honestly, yeah, I agree with that last question. That it's basically like you have your own Solidity tutor for free, which, yeah, I think is an amazing way to utilize this tool. Even if you're not planning on shipping and you just want to learn, I think that's a very cool roundabout way of using it, just as a private tutor. Dude, this has been very, very cool, very informational. I really appreciate you guys taking time out to walk us through the platform, showing us how to use it. Of course, we'll see you guys in you said you have a Discord, or where can our developers find you if they have any questions, and they would want to speak directly to your team?
Yeah, the best place to reach our team would be discord.gg/cookbook. You can connect with pretty much the whole team in there, and we're always happy to answer questions or point you to a smart contract, help you with Solidity, and anything else on the developer end.
All right. Be careful what you wish for. Our hackathon is starting February 20th, so you're probably going to get an influx of people asking questions about how to ship on BitTorrent. So I hope you're ready for that. And again, one last time, thank you guys so much, Michael, Rich, for hopping on today and walking us through Cookbook. We're excited to work with you.